smoke. Out of our night of struggle, can we see a ray of hope? One pale thin ray reaching for the day. We can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of man. We may not reach the ending, but we can start. Slowly but truly mending, brick by brick, heart by heart. One, maybe now we start learning how we can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of man. When your trust is all but shattered, when your faith is all but killed, you can give up, bitter and battered, or you can slowly start to build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but finally a city of man. A city of man.
Tom Litch on the vocals. Wait. Get my guitar.
One, two, three.
Hey everybody, it's Sarah and welcome to Mile High Church. Thank you for spending a portion of your weekend with us, especially if you're new. Our vision, Oneness Revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. Our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. Before we get started today, we want to give you a look at a few things coming up at Mile High Church for you and your family.
Hey everybody, it's summertime at Mile High Church, which means it's time for summer school for your soul. I want to invite you to take a class this summer. We've got 4 of them on Tuesday mornings. I'm going to be teaching Beyond Limits. This is a great opportunity to spend time with Mile Highers exploring the great ideas of our philosophy. Dr. Michelle is going to be teaching a Prosperity Plus class, Improve Your Finances by Learning and Practicing the Great Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. Reverend Jackie is teaching the Essential Ernest Holmes, which is all about our founder, his great writings, and I think you'll discover a little something about the essential you in the process as well. Lastly, I'm teaching a brand new class I created called Emerson, the Invention of the Possible. And what Emerson invented was this idea of the possible and how we can better actualize it in our own day-to-day lives. So have a little summer school for your soul and improve your life in the process.
This was the first time the meditation retreat was going to be done by 3 different ministers. And it's an incredible smorgasbord of spiritual practice to go and play with and have the encouragement, have the tools, have the opportunities to really get to spend some time with God, playing in a beautiful place that I actually, had a melting into the one experience, and that has stayed with me. And it fit at a time in my life where getting away and really having time with Source. So go.
For more information about anything you've heard today, visit the Event Center or connect with us online at milehighchurch.org.
1, 2, 3.
Well, good morning. So we get to sing All That I Need Comes to Me. We're going to sing that together. The lyrics will be on the screen, so feel free to join in any way that suits you. There you go. All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shines upon my face. All that I need comes to me. I've been set free, I'm released. I've been set free, I'm released. The burdens of my past have gone away at last. I've been set free, I'm released. Sweet rain that washes me clean. Sweet rain that washes me clean. The mind creates all things, into my life it brings. Sweet rain that washes me clean. All that I need, all that I need comes to me. All that I need, all that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shines upon my face. All that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace. The light of love and grace shines upon my face. All that I need comes to me.
Thank you so much, the Mile High Band. We're so glad to have Tom back with us today. Thank you. And thank you for joining in on that wonderful song. Good morning. I'm Jackie. I'm one of the associate ministers here at Mile High Church. Hi to you online also. And this is quite an opportunity to be able to be with you this morning. But I want to start out because this is Memorial Day weekend. So I want to give you just a little history lesson. Anyone that knows me, that's my thing. Memorial Day was actually, I don't even mean celebrated, but it was recognized after the Civil War. And the women of the time were the ones that had really kind of started the momentum, because at that time it was called Decoration Day. And it was called Decoration Day because the women were decorating the graves of the lost people with flowers. And so we now have a whole weekend that we get to celebrate as Memorial Day. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in my talk, but it's such an important thing because there are people who gave their lives so that we could have freedom. Whether it be the freedom that we have because of things like the Civil War and wars that we've had or participated in, or also our first responders who have gone to places like 9/11 and given the last full measure of their life. So I want to honor all those people who, and your loved ones also, who may have let go of the bonds of this life right now. And you probably wonder why I have this. It is not dead. Let me just tell you that. See how green it is. About 2 weeks ago, one of the liaisons, the liaison from Iber Elementary School, came to pick up a check. Because if you remember our flowers, our spring flowers for summer lunches program that we did, so we gave $1,000 to Iber and $1,000 to Rose Stein. And so both of the liaisons came to pick up the checks, and one of them brought this plant. And the reason I have it here is the story she had with the plant. When I first got it, it was full of flowers. You know, there are lots of buds, so soon it'll have more. And it's a marigold, if you can't see it. And she said she brought it because she saw Mile High as a place of sunshine for people. And so that this reminded her of sunshine. And she said, and a year ago, I learned that this particular plant is often put around other plants to protect them, which the marigold, you know, are supposedly the elk and deer, and those animals don't like them. And she said, and that's what Mile High is. It's there to protect us. So I wanted to share with you this gift from them. So thank you. And now we're going to have some music, a prayer. We'll have silence before the prayer, and then Dr. Michelle will give us our prayer.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of
And out of the silence, we feel the fullness of the infinite. We've turned away from the world of form and allowed our awareness to fall into that space of the Most High in recognition and honor of the divine presence. And while it exists and shows itself and expresses itself in, through, and as all of creation, which includes that world of form, oh, what a joy and a relief it is to turn inwardly now together and to witness and remember the feeling of this power and this presence and this life and light that pours through us now, through our very beingness. And whether we're consciously aware of it or not, it is always, always expressing itself in, through, and as us. This is God. This is the divine. This is the infinite that is accessing itself, expressing itself, and living itself through all beings everywhere. And this morning, we awoke to another glorious day together on this planet Earth and chose to come to be together in spiritual community. And that choice helps us to anchor in that awareness that we have, that we are the infinite expressing. That choice to get in our cars or to walk here or to show up online or to be in community reflects that desire of our soul to experience more and more of the God that we are. And so I accept and affirm that this day, as we experience this service together, that all that we are doing here reminds us and inspires us and activates the memory of the true nature of our being, of the greatness that God is as us, of the love that God is as us, of the joy and peace and wholeness that God is as us. And we breathe it in and we take it in and we give thanks for that right here and right now. To feel the expansive nature of this, what a gift. And as we want this and yearn for this and claim this for ourselves, we recognize that we do this and yearn for this and want this for every other being. And so in this prayer this morning, we bless every being who is participating in this service in any way. Those in the room with us, those watching from afar with us, those who will watch maybe days, weeks, or years ahead watching this video, feeling the love that we are generating as a spiritual community this day in recognition of this presence that we are. And we send it forth out into our world today, knowing that it blesses and touches all beings everywhere, especially as we honor Memorial Day and we send love to those who are mourning, those they have lost in service to our country. We send love to those who are on the other side, who have given their lives for our country. We send them love and blessings. We send love and blessings to all faith traditions everywhere, to every being on this planet, to every world leader, every country, every being everywhere, for we know that as we do this, we are affirming the unification and the unity of humanity. This is what we affirm now and declare peace on earth, in all hearts, in all lives, in all ways, in all homes. And we give thanks. To affirm this, to see this, and proclaim this now as we release this prayer in loving gratitude, knowing that it is fulfilled through the power of this word. Thank you, life. And so it is.
I light a candle for humanity, for the good that's yet to come, as we overlook our differences and join now as one. And I pray we'll come out stronger in this world I'm dreaming of. I light a candle for humanity, to be a world living as one. I light a candle for America. May we feel peace inside as we hold each other closer. and wipe the tears we cried. And I pray we bond together, and I pray that we'll pull through. I light a candle for America, for me and for you. I light a candle for humanity, for the good that's yet to come, as we overlook our differences and join now as one. And I pray we'll come out stronger in this world I'm dreaming of. I light a candle for humanity, to be a world living as one.
Thank you so much to our practitioner prayer partners who stood during that honoring. Very grateful to you for holding consciousness during that song. Our words of inspiration come from Paramahansa Yogananda. Freedom means the power to act by soul guidance, not by the compulsions of desires and habits. Obeying the ego leads to bondage. Obeying the soul brings liberation. The more you depend upon conditions outside yourself for happiness, the less spiritual freedom you have. Real freedom is found in the conquest of the lower self by the higher self. And Ramana Maharshi, you are already free, but you do not believe it. The mind weaves illusions of limitations, but the soul knows no boundaries. The moment you stop identifying with the thoughts that keep you small, you will awaken to the infinite space of your being, where there is nothing to attain, only to remember.
Well, I get the feeling that I've got to grow. Love keeps me running to the me that God knows. I'm here to be, to uplift and unfold, emancipating the divine of my soul. Ain't nothing holding me down. I let go of my story, now I'm walking in the arms of freedom. No one ever held me down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. And a change get by to change my mind about freedom. Take a look inside. I keep moving on now, no precedent found. My revelation is the spirit I'm bound. The past has no power to paralyze me. I'm in the moment, I bless my history. Ain't nothing holding me down. I let go of my story, now I'm walking in the arms of freedom. No one ever held me down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. The chains get by to change my mind about freedom. Take a look inside. To hold and heal the hunger. What can I pray? To be your joy today. But I get the feeling that I've got to grow. Love keeps me running to the me that God knows. Can't reveal to uplift and unfold, emancipating the divine of my soul. Ain't nothing holding me down. Let go my story, now I'm walking in the arms of freedom. No one ever held me down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. Change can't buy to change my mind about freedom. Talking about freedom. No one ever held me down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. Change can't buy to change my mind about freedom. Take a look inside. Take a look inside.
Are you tired, Tom? Thank you so much, Mile High Band, Tom. Yeah, if you watch him play that guitar and it's like, I would be tired. Before I start my talk, there are a couple things I want to do. First, I want to acknowledge, I look down and I see part of my Advanced Consciousness Studies class that we just completed here. I'm going to ask you to stand. Plus Kelly, who was my teaching assistant. Yay. These folks, for the most part, will go on into our Prac 2 classes, so it was a joy to be with them for a year. The other thing, I'm going to be much better at this service about this. We're starting something new. The end of every month, we're going to do a special honoring at the time of the service sometime of guests who have come to Mile High for the first time during the month. So if you are one of those people, you will get a special gift, which is not in our special gift bag that has lots of goodies in it. But what we did was we created this card, for example, says, "Life is ever giving of itself." And then our ministers were given the cards and they were asked to put an affirmation that matches that on the back of it. So if you are here, the other thing I want to tell you is every picture on these cards is of Mile High Church. This one is of our outside labyrinth looking back towards a sanctuary. So if you are here for the first time today, or you started coming to be with us early in May, you can either stand or raise your hand so our ushers can give you a card. So stand or raise your hand if you don't want to stand. I know. Thank you. Thank you. We love Mile High Church, and we love when new people find us because they too can learn to love this teaching that we have here at Mile High Church. So I talked to you at the welcoming about Memorial Day, and as I kind of pondered this whole topic of spiritual freedom, what we're really celebrating during this time of year is our personal freedoms that we have. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the Constitution, what it tells us we have, what freedoms we have in this country. And I remember in the 7th grade, and it's interesting how as you're preparing a talk or a class, for me anyway, things will pop up into my mind. And so I thought about it. I was in the 7th grade, and I'm from the East Coast, if you don't know that, and a little south, if you hear a little of that. But what we did was, in the 7th grade, we had to memorize the Gettysburg Address. And then we took a field trip to Gettysburg. And now I want to say that Gettysburg and the Gettysburg Address actually was written and spoken by Abraham Lincoln in 1863, before the Civil War was over. And it was to commemorate the opening of the Gettysburg National Cemetery. So being there is a profound experience if you've ever been to Gettysburg. And so as a seventh grader, this group of seventh grade kids there at the battleground saying the Gettysburg Address still comes back to me. I remember most of it, but I'm not going to quote it for you now. However, I did have a few people after the 8 come through the line and read and say a few lines just to help me remember. So it's, this is such a powerful thing for us to remember the sacrifices that were made so that we can live in a free country. But the talk today is really going to be on spiritual freedom, which I think the readings have done, the music has done, to remind us spiritual freedom looks different, and we are in control of spiritual freedom. Oftentimes there are outside forces that are responsible for our personal freedoms. I also want to mention natural freedoms. Ernest will talk about natural freedom when he talks about spiritual freedom, but I see natural freedom as the freedom you see if you watch birds flying, or if you watch the deer and the elk, which people love to come to me because I live in the foothills and say, "Isn't it wonderful?" It is wonderful, and then they eat all your plants and your... My husband used to say that they stood in the woods and said, "Oh, let's see what's at the Harris Deli today." But I love to see them. They're majestic animals. So natural freedom for them is, and for the ducks that swim in a pond, that natural freedom is the freedom they recognize they have because of their instinct. They feel safe. Animals also know when they're not safe. And so they respond also against that feeling that they have when they think they're not safe. But remember, it's their instincts, and we aren't driven by instincts. You may think you are because of habit, but animals are really moving from instinct. And it's a reaction to a stimulus. So something has happened and they have a response. Spiritual freedom looks a lot different. And our friend, Ralph Waldo Emerson, talked about the whole notion of spiritual freedom in his writing of the Self-Reliance. And that was one of his works. And I want to just share with you what he had to say. He says he valued the idea that every person has an innate wisdom within them, a connection to a greater universal truth that can guide their life. He emphasized the importance of trusting oneself and listening to the voice of intuition. By doing so, individuals could remain true to their unique identity and purpose, rather than being shaped by societal expectations or external authority. Emerson viewed spiritual freedom as a fundamental part of being authentic and living a meaningful life. His perspective encouraged people to think freely, question traditional norms, and align their actions with their personal values and beliefs. Through spiritual freedom, he believed people could achieve a deeper connection to themselves and to the world around them. That's what spiritual freedom is all about. Now, he would have called it spiritual independence. It's the same idea. So this morning, I'm going to talk to you about generically what we talk about as spiritual freedom. Then I'm going to talk to you about what Science of Mind teaches about spiritual freedom. And then we'll look at what you can do to try to increase your ability to embrace that spiritual freedom for yourself. So first thing is this, and I think in one of the readings spoke to this, you've got to liberate yourself from your limitations. Anybody in here have no limitations? Okay. I think we would not be honest with ourselves if we put our hand up and says, yeah, I have no limitations, and then you walk out the door and you go, oh, except for this one and this one. So you know what that means. You just want to overcome those limitations. So you've got to do some work. That's why we're going to look at practices to overcome those limitations, or at least to minimize them. You know, don't think you've got to chop them all off right away, but you need to do some practice to minimize. The next is you've got to be authentic. And authenticity is about your true nature, and that's looking at your values and your beliefs. Your values and your beliefs. So one of the things I love about teaching classes, because in your credentialed classes, and credentialed classes are the ones people need if they're going to go up the practitioner path, but anybody can take these classes, you get to look at yourself. Now maybe that's why some people don't take those classes, because it's hard. It's not easy to look at yourself, because you get in your own way. But what you've got to learn to do is understand, to be authentic, you have to look at your values, your beliefs. What do I think my purpose is in life? So I encourage you, this is plug for classes. Please consider if you haven't taken a class. We do both online and in-person classes, so something will work for everyone. You've also got to have inner peace. And to me, inner peace is finding that ability, and this is where you've got to let go of all that stuff that's outside of yourself. You know, the world is bombarding us with things to make us not feel safe, not feel inner peace, and there's only one person that can stop that. And it's you. Turn off the TV. Don't spend so much time on social media. Whatever it is that triggers you, and I'm not saying, I'm one that will watch news because it gives me great prayer work. But don't get hung up in it. Don't all of a sudden take it on, and now you're angry and you have all these feelings, these negative feelings. You've got to have inner peace in order to have any kind of ability to have spiritual freedom. And it's about love. Now that may sound strange, but spiritual freedom is about love. Bell Hooks talked about the need for a powerful discourse on love to enhance freedom for all. And love comes from a connection to something greater. And that's the last point in this section, is that something greater. We know there is a power in the universe greater, and we can use it. I can use it. You can use it. There is a power, no matter what you choose to call it. If it's uncomfortable to call it God, find a word that works for you. But there is a power, folks, in the universe greater than any one of us is. And we need to learn how to use that power. Take a deep breath. The next thing we're going to look at is, what does science of mind have to say about this? And these are words and thoughts of our founder, Ernest Holmes. So I have a quote from Ernest that I'm going to share with you. And this quote comes from the first page of the Science of Mind textbook, even though it's page 25. It's the first read, because you know how books are, they have all that introduction, and this is the first readable page. And It's from the section that's called The Thing Itself. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law. Thus, the inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We do wait to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. So for Ernest, freedom is a natural law. It is a natural law. It's almost like if we were really functioning on our instincts, this is what we would be looking for, freedom. Of course, we work with intuition. And I mentioned that yesterday I did one of my sacred Saturdays, and it's kind of funny because I have a lot of things that are coming up at one time here. And in the middle of it, it struck me that my whole sacred Saturday was on intuition. And my talk focuses very much on intuition. And I thought, isn't it interesting how the universe always gives you what you want? You just have to be aware of it. So I loved when I became aware of that because all of this flows together better. The other thing that Ernest said was, we've got to remember we are working with the law of mind. Now, some people have a problem with that word law. I don't know, they think it's the police or something. But if you think about it, in science, there are scientific laws. One of them is gravity. So why should we be afraid to think of spiritual laws that guide our lives? Because God is with every single one of you. Every single one of you. God is not out there somewhere up in the sky, raining down, good or bad. God is part of who you are. That still, small voice that will direct you if you listen to it. But we're so much smarter that we tend to just run through life and then wonder why things happen the way they do. We've got to take some time. Ernest also said we needed to learn to release limiting beliefs. And we all have those. It's all part of our value system and what we actually believe. They're those negative thought patterns that actually we've practiced for years and years and years. That repetition, we've got to let them go. And it's not just a matter of saying, okay, today I'm going to stop having limiting beliefs. Wouldn't that be nice? That's too easy. So what we have to do is we've got to learn to practice. Another part of this spiritual freedom is forgiveness. Forgiveness. That's a tough thing for many people. But if we do not learn to forgive ourselves, forgive others, we continue to live in the past. You cannot have spiritual freedom if you're going to live in the past. So I encourage you to find a way to practice forgiveness, especially for yourself. And even though someone may have done something to you that you think is unforgivable, forgive them so that you can live a better life, a more prosperous life. The only one that's hurt in that situation, what is it? It's the thing about drinking poison and thinking the other person is going to die from it. That's a quote that's used often because that's what we act like. So let's practice some forgiveness. He talks about imprisoned splendor. Just sit there with that for a moment. Ernest believed that we all possess an imprisoned splendor within ourselves. It's a divine spark. When I first started coming to Mile High, and I'm thinking it was probably 2007, I was sitting, at that time we were over in the vote, and I was sitting there and Roger did a message and it was on the divine spark within. And that has always stayed with me because that is your imprisoned splendor, that divine spark. How do you like knowing that that divine spark is right there, ready to work for you? Does it make you nervous? I'm not doing it right. Remember, God is driving. Let God be the pilot of your life instead of you trying to work around it somehow. Now, freedom, he says, is not license. So once you've established and created and feel that spiritual freedom within you, it doesn't mean that you can now go out and tell everybody how very spiritual you are. He says, our choices have consequences, and none of us is ever completely independent of the collective consciousness. Now, those of you that have taken classes know what that is. You've all got pieces of the collective consciousness. Family. Your values and your beliefs started somewhere. You didn't pop out of the womb having a certain set of values and beliefs. Where do you think they came from? The culture, the family. So understand that that collective culture, it doesn't mean you can't deal with it. It means be aware of it. That you do your work, but be aware that beyond yourself is this whole notion of collective consciousness. If you want to know more about that, take classes. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. So those were the thoughts that Science of Mind have about this whole idea of spiritual freedom. That idea that we really are in control of whether or not we live a spiritually free life. It's nobody else. Nobody else. Now we can say, oh, but, this happened to me when I was young, or, this is what I'm seeing on the news. And you have control of yourself, folks. But you've got to do your work. And so that's the last part of the talk is how can you practice? How can you practice? I am a firm believer in contemplation and meditation, and people go, oh, I can't sit still that long. My mind goes. One of the things I personally love about contemplation is it moves you from here to here. And so you can sit and you can be with God, and you can have a conversation with God. Don't be afraid of meditation. Don't be afraid of it. Some people might take a reading and use that as kind of an impetus for their meditation or their contemplation, but I encourage you, do something to sit still and in the quiet. Then after you've sat there, or even think of it this way maybe instead, use self-reflection and introspection. So you've sat and things have come up, and now think about, what does that mean in my life? What is that all about? And then, and these are in no specific order, by the way, because this next one I probably would have put at the top of the list if I was doing order, and that is cultivate compassion, gratitude, and forgiveness. Cultivate compassion, gratitude, and forgiveness. That can be part of your spiritual practice. You can, just being in your everyday life, you can show compassion, like in traffic, or at the grocery store when the line is long or somebody's taking a long time and all that. Practice compassion. And of course, gratitude. Some people do a gratitude journal at the end of their day, and they write down all the things that happened to them in that day that they are grateful for. and they sit with that. And that can be a meditation in itself. And again, I say forgiveness. Work on forgiving. Forgiving, forgiving, forgiving. It doesn't mean you forget. It means that you want a better life for yourself. That's what you're forgiving for yourself. The next one is a fun one, and we did this yesterday. We did something different yesterday. I usually have 3 practices that we do in the Sacred Saturdays, and they're usually contemplative, or I'll do a meditation, but I changed it up on them a little bit yesterday, and we did something called the Notice Everything game. And so one of the things I'm suggesting is get out in nature. Get out in nature. Nature is the greatest teacher. I mean, those of you that are gardeners, I'm sure you love getting in that dirt and planting your seeds and planting your plants, but get out into nature and then notice everything. So what was interesting was people came back. I sent them out for 20 minutes, and they were all over campus. We have a pond back here in the back. If you're not aware, they went to the pond and saw the fowl that are on the pond. They went over here to CCU, and there's some beautiful purple flowers over here, and one of them came back and said, I couldn't believe it. I walked over to those flowers. There were bees all over the flowers. Now that may seem, well, of course there were, but they noticed it, whereas they might have walked right by them and not noticed at all. Notice everything. Try that, even walking in the grocery store. I mean, it doesn't have to just be in nature. Start noticing everything, because that is when you're really allowing your intuition to speak to you. When you see with your eyes, then you see with your soul too. And this will be a surprise for everyone. Take classes. I say that, but I will tell you, I remember being in Beyond Limits. That first, I had come here in 2006, and then I started classes that January, and it was mind-blowing. Beyond Limits, from where I'd come from, and I came from a religious background, but it just opened up. It opened up my mind. It opened up my soul, and so I just encourage you, because as Josh said in the messages, the announcements, we do have classes this summer that you can consider taking. One of them is Essential Ernest Holmes. Put a plug in for my class. And if you don't know much about Ernest Holmes, this is a great class to learn about Ernest Holmes and the teachings of science of mind. And it's not as heavy as the name might suggest. So to kind of wrap up, spiritual freedom is really an inside job for each one of us. It's finding and responding to that intuitive voice that's always, always talking to us. It's not like the little guys that you used to see sitting on the shoulder, the devil and the angel, and it's right there. God has never left you, because God is always right here, waiting for you to listen, to respond. And so I hope that that's something you can take with you in this Memorial Day weekend, that spiritual freedom is about taking care of you, taking care of that intuitive piece of you that wants to take you to great places if you just trust it. Frederick Buechner, a Christian theologian, said this: "Your life and my life flow into each other as waves, just like waves flow into other waves. And unless there is peace and joy and freedom for you, there can be no real peace or joy or freedom for me." That's what the essence of spiritual freedom is. So instead of doing an affirmative prayer, I've invited one of my students from Advanced Consciousness Studies to read her final project in the class. Each term, the students are asked to create a project, and they don't have to be giant. You should see this one that we have that's just stupendous. But I've asked Lisa to be here to share her final project, and the final projects were, what did you really learn in this class?
Thank you, Reverend Jackie. And my path to freedom has included many Mile High classes, which is still, my path to freedom is very much still ongoing. Most recently, I've taken Advanced Consciousness Studies, been blessed by that class, and it's really helped reveal that divine spark inside of me. And over the course of the months of taking this class with many wonderful classmates, this poem evolved, so I will share it. I am soul, so bright, so free, a light of oneness in eternity. The stars, the sky, the whispered air, all the world tells me spirit is here. With every step, with every breath, I dance beyond the fear of death. For spiritual beings never fade. In love's embrace, eternal life is graced. The creative process flows through me. A dream so bold, my heart grows of thee. I shape the world with thoughts divine, a spark of heaven, creation's grand design. No chains can find, no walls can stand when freedom's placed within my hand. For life is vast and love is wide, and spirit is always by my side. The triune nature cannot stray as spirit's light guides my way. The spiritual laws in me align as faith transforms both space and time. And when I gaze upon the night, I know I am love. I know I am light. No need to seek, no need to roam, for heaven is here and I am its home. Thank you.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray.
Thank you, Tom. And now we have our time of offering. And you know, we're into a new system. We've actually got it partially running called Push Pay. Some of you who are recurring givers have been getting emails, constant nudges, you know. Please respond if you want to continue your recurring gift to that link that they have. You can sign up and then we'll turn it off on the old system for you. Just to tell you, we have a little over almost 200 people who have made the shift. So we appreciate that, and this is starting to wrap up, so you won't hear so much about it. But on the screen is from our new giving platform. You can access actually use your phone from where you're sitting to use that QR code if you'd like to give that way. We have the text to give, which is a full number, and now you do the number and you just type in the word give. And then it'll take you to the giving page. And then if you go to our website to give now, you will be able to give. So we really encourage you to participate with us in this. And of course, you can still mail checks in. We don't tell you not to do that if you like to do that. And all the other ways that you might be giving. In the room is an example of the tangible way we do this. And I also want to mention to you, if you have any questions on the new PushPay, Dr. Michelle and Ken will be out at a table in the lobby to answer your questions. So the teacher in me wants to say, have any questions? But I'm not going to do that. So let's pass the baskets, folks.
Love is not an easy thing, the only baggage that you can bring. Love is not an easy thing, the only baggage you can bring is all that you can't leave behind. And if darkness is to keep us apart, and if daylight seems like it's a long way off, and if your glass heart should crack, and for a second you turn back, oh no, be strong. Packing a suitcase full of dreams none of us agree. A place that has to be believed to be seen. You could have flown away a sinking bird in an open cage who can only fly to freedom. Oh,
Thank you, Mile High Band. Tom, what a joy to have you with us today. Thank you. And Lisa, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful poem with us this morning. Thank you, Reverend Jackie, for that amazing message. We have our prayer practitioners coming down front, and they will be available after the service for a short affirmative prayer.
And we have a couple events coming up, one of which we want to remind you of are the Board of Trustees. We're looking for people who want to serve in that capacity for Mile High Church. It's a great honor. It's a 3-year term, and it really it's really supportive of the church, and it gives you as lay people an opportunity to know what's happening. And then the second thing I want to mention are our healing intention circles that are coming up next Saturday. Reverend Kay is sitting right here. She and Reverend Linda put those on. They're wonderful. I encourage you to come. They're from 10 to 12 over in the community center. If you have any questions, I imagine Reverend Kay will be right there to answer them. But it is a beautiful experience if you've never done that.
And we'd like to invite you all to join us next Sunday, June 1st at 5 p.m. right here in the sanctuary for our ecclesiastical graduation. We are graduating a number of practitioner 2 students and a number of ministerial graduates from our ministerial program from all over the country, including from here in Lakewood. And I know you may not think you should be there if you don't know any of these graduates, but I think that it's very inspirational to come to a graduation celebration of people who've worked so hard in their spiritual path, as Reverend Jackie's been talking about, and are walking across an invisible line into greatest service in the world. So we hope you'll be here with us at 5 o'clock. Reverend Josh will be speaking, and I promise it won't be a boring commencement address or anything like that. It'll be awesome. So 5 p.m. next Sunday.
Thank you. All right, let's stand for the benediction. I am just so thankful that each one of us is expressing that spiritual freedom in our lives right now. So as we step out of these doors, we take our intuition, we use it for the betterment of humanity, and I thank you, God, that you are clearly part of my life and all lives. And so it is.